Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christine Rodriguez and I have a podcast called AstrologyNow podcast. And so if you found this video as referred through my podcast or if you stumbled upon this video through the ethers of the internet, welcome. It's so nice to have you. So today in this segment, we are discussing the sun and what the sun represents in Vedic astrology. And so please keep in mind, I do study Vedic sidereal astrology. And so to learn more about the difference between Western and Vedic astrology, you can pull up a Google browser, there's tons of information on the internet. But to keep it simple, it's just a different method of calculation. Okay, Vedic astrology acknowledges the very precise placement of the planets at any given moment. Now keep in mind also, the Western tropical system is a solar-based system. The Vedic sidereal system is a lunar-based system. And so I say this because in Vedic astrology, the emphasis on the sun is a little bit less important than the emphasis on the moon. The sun stays in a sign for about a month. The moon stays in a sign for about 2.5 days. And then of course the rising sign changes every 2 hours. So with Vedic astrology, we really want to get more and more specific and more precise before we start making any assumptions about somebody. Obviously, somebody born on November 16th is going to be very different than somebody born on November 17th. Okay? They're going to have the same sun sign, but they're going to be totally different. Their moon sign is going to change, their rising sign is going to change, their nakshatras are going to change. You want to get more specific in Vedic astrology. Okay, so the moon is going to be a little bit more of a key player in the sidereal system than the sun will be. But now the sun is still very important. The sun in Vedic astrology, or Surya, is the natural Atmakarka. So we have this idea in Vedic astrology, the planet that holds the highest degrees is our Atmakarka, which is a very important planet for us as individuals. But the sun is the natural Atmakarka, meaning the soul indicator. And so wherever the sun is in your chart, it's going to tell a lot about your destiny and fate in this life. It represents the soul. The sun also represents how we look physically. Now, I like to think that the sun and the moon and the rising, they all combined to show what someone is going to look like physically. The sun does play a huge role in this. Now, the sun does govern our vitality. So if somebody has a nice, strong sun in a powerful house and it's being well aspected, this person is going to be healthy. They may overcome diseases easily. The sun will show overall health and vitality a lot of the time. The sun also represents the father. So depending on the house that the sun is in, aspects that the sun is receiving, planets that the sun is conjunct with, it's going to tell you more or less about the relationship with the father this person is going to have. Remember, in astrology, we can never just look at one thing and let that be the deciding factor. It's not just like this is the sun and then it's cut and dry. You want to see the planets it's with, the house that it's in, aspects it's receiving. Okay? There are a few different things that you want to look at. The sun also represents authority. How we relate to authority, so how likely we are to take orders, right? And how likely we are to influence other people. How easy it is for us to be the authority. The sun is a natural malefic. And so it's like, how is it a natural malefic? It's the soul, it's the father, it's authority. Well, when planets get too close to the sun, there is something that can happen called combustion. And that means that the planet is so close to the sun that the sun kind of blurs the qualities of those other planets. Astrologers argue over what combustion means and what it can indicate, so we're not going to go into that today. But this is one reason why the sun can be malefic. Now, the other reason is, if somebody has a really strong and powerful sun, it may show someone who is very grandiose. It's difficult for them to take orders. It's difficult for them to take advice. They think that they know everything right away and they think that they should be the authority, even if other people don't see them as the authority. They'll assume that role. That's not really a good thing, right? That's like borderline narcissism. Narcissism can be seen from the sun. Fame, the moon also with narcissism, okay? But fame can also be seen from the sun. How somebody stands out in a crowd. The sun is like your gravitas. When you step into a room, how likely it is that people are going to notice you or take attention to you. The sun is your self-esteem and ego, which kind of goes along with that authority that we've been discussing. So, if the sun is very weak, if the sun is damaged, it may show someone who has self-esteem issues kind of being a go-getter. Maybe they don't have the self-esteem to achieve their dreams. They feel bad about themselves. It may be very difficult for them to make decisions. They may feel like someone else needs to lead them. A really powerful sun may be different. They may assume the leadership role naturally. They may feel very confident in making decisions. They may have no issue taking up space and taking attention. And then, of course, those things can be more or less in balance in terms of leadership, authority, and our ego. We're always working to strike balance. And now the beauty with Vedic astrology is that once you understand these energies, you can work with them. So if you see your sun and you're like, man, I think my sun is afflicted, I think that it's damaged, I have this weak ego, now you know. Now you know, and you can actively, when you hear a little voice inside your head telling you you can't do something, you can be like, that's my afflicted sun. I can make good choices. Or if your sun is really powerful and you're like, man, it is hard for me to take advice. I hate listening to other people. Maybe consider taking the advice of others, understanding that none of us know everything. It's impossible to know everything. There's so much to know, okay? So knowing the condition of the sun can help develop that self-awareness. The sun has a connection to kingliness and royalty. Keep in mind, the sun rules the sign of Leo, the lion, the king of the jungle. There's this connection to royalty and fame and authority and prestige with the sun. This is what the sun represents. Now, the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars, that ambition, and the sun is, our prestige, our fame, and recognition. When the sun comes into the sign of Aries, keep in mind, this is a month's span of time. So not everyone born in this time is going to have the same life, the same mentality. But with the sun being exalted, it's one of the beginning ingredients to show someone who has natural leadership abilities, naturally takes up space. People seek them out to lead. Now, the sun is debilitated in the sign of Libra. Months span of time. Not everyone is going to have low vitality, fights with their dad, and a low ego, okay? No way. So just because your sun is in Libra does not mean these things. If there are other factors involved, it may show that, okay? But you want to look at everything. And then, of course, depending on planets that the sun is sitting with, it's going to do different things, right? And so you always want to look at the planets that are sitting with the sun and the house that the sun is in. It's super important, okay? It's all really important. And then, of course, aspects with the sun. So Saturn with the sun is going to be totally different than Rahu with the sun, right? Rahu with the sun, it's like two indicators of fame coming together. Fame, recognition, and ego. That could be a huge ego. It could be someone who's famous. Saturn and the sun. Saturn is restriction. It wants space. It likes isolation. It likes the monastic life. When it comes with the sun, those two are going to have a different type of battle. Okay? So that's something to consider. So I hope that this was helpful. The segment was on the sun and what the sun represents in Vedic astrology. If you would like to schedule a reading with me, you can go to my website, innerknowing.yoga. You can email me directly at astrologynowpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram, astrologynow_podcast, and on Twitter, astrologynow_. Again, my name is Christine Rodriguez. This is Astrology Now.